Welcome everybody to the Misunderstood Podcast. I'm your host, Will King, and I got a incredible guest here today by the name of Omar Nasser. Omar Nasser, and today we're going to be talking about the Abrahamic religion and how it intertwines with different people's perception of it. Maybe it's negative, maybe it's positive, wherever it may land. We're going to discuss about that and how it affects Omar in his life and how he created his moral principles, as we can say, right?
Yeah.
So let's just dive right into it. So Omar, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So let's just start off from the beginning. What made you pick the religion that you picked, and how did you get there?
Well, my family's from Yemen, and Yemen's about 99% Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, are you going to be a Muslim? It's what flavor of Muslim are you going to be?
Okay.
Sunni, Shiite, Zaidi, Shafi'i, those are the majority groups. So I grew up Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
My family's very religious. On Saturday and Sunday, my mom would be with us with a wooden spoon next to us, having us memorize Quran.
Really?
Oh yeah, like old school. Like you're gonna do what my parents did with me. So
Okay.
Went to the mosque all the time. Grew up, got very interested in religion, primarily because post 9/11, you see everybody talking out of their neck about Islam. They're terrorists, they're this and that. So not gonna lie, when I was younger and I hear this, I got angry, and it was more reactionary.
Angry towards who, though? Like, were you angry towards your religion, or
No.
just angry towards the Americans' perception of the Islamic faith?
I was angry towards the people pushing all this hatred against us.
Gotcha.
I'm like, I'm a good dude. I pay my taxes. I go to school. I got a good heart. I was raised to be a good guy. And you're telling me I'm basically Al Qaeda and all these other bad guys, and
Right.
picking certain parts of the religion and making it seem like that's the whole religion. And when I was younger, I'm like, oh, you want that? Okay, I'll do that. So then I started learning about other religions, more in a polemical, reactionary way. Like, oh, you want to talk about my religion? I'll talk about yours.
So your goal was not because of curiosity of maybe there's something different. You were kind of like trying to get some ammo
Yeah, it was.
to combat a debate. Like, hey, you coming at my religion? Look at what your religion does.
It was initially like, you're coming at my identity.
Okay.
I did nothing to you.
Right.
Those guys did what they did. I have nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
I'm a young kid trying to understand myself. And, I'm a Middle Eastern Muslim.
Yeah.
That's not the demographics of the country.
Right.
So I'm trying to understand where I fit, and it just felt like you were getting constantly attacked. So I'm like, okay, let me see what you got. And then from there, I started learning just from a polemical reaction. Oh, they say this about the Jews, the Christians, this and that. How do you like it? Kind of thing. You want to misrepresent me? I can do the same.
Did you find anything like in your look, like searching other religions, any kind of negative indications from other religions, and like something that still stood out for you?
Yeah, but they're more reactionary. They're more like,
Yeah.
oh, well, Jesus is a pagan god, and Moses didn't exist, and just things that you hear online. Because I was young and I didn't have the money to buy the books and get into academia. I didn't have anything. I was just angry, mad at the world, and I just wanted to give people the same that they're giving me.
Gotcha. So you did this for how long do you think this was going on for in your
I'll
life?
say maybe 16 to 19 years old.
Really?
It was just like, because any YouTube video I went up and I saw the comments, it was just, oh, Muhammad's are this, the Muslims are this. And it was like, damn.
Right.
You could only read so much of that until you're like, you know what? How about this? How about that? And a lot of people, they don't care if you explain it to them.
Right.
They're just going to believe what they want to believe.
Uh-huh.
And that's it. You're the devil, And But after that, I would say when I started making money, going to school, making money, learning people, understanding concepts like sociology, anthropology, history, the nuances of them, I started trying to actually understand them. So I would say from about 22 to 25, 26, I became an agnostic atheist.
Really?
I was like, the hell of all of this.
So before we dive into that, let's backtrack a little bit. So in your upbringing, you said that you pretty much, you don't have a choice. Growing up in Yemen, you really don't have a choice of religion. It's not about you're not going to be a Muslim. It's going to be what flavor, right?
Yeah.
So when you touch bases on different types of Muslim practices, can you briefly go through, what they are and what's the differences between?
Yeah, so like Sunni, Shiite.
Yeah.
So Sunni Islam, we call it Ahl al-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah, which means the people of the tradition and consensus. Because how Sunni Islam works is that yeah, we have the Quran and we take from the authentic traditions of what Prophet Muhammad said.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the Sunnah comes from. Sunnah means tradition.
Okay.
But Jama'ah means consensus, or like scholarly consensus.
Okay.
It's like prominent scholars on an opinion got to an issue and they resolved and they got to this opinion. We followed it because they're the most learned people and they came to this conclusion. So you take it, and little by little you're gonna form a religion.
So this seems a little bit intense. So is that like is that the toughest branch? I'm using that loosely. Branch of Muslim faith to be under. Like there's like this hierarchy of understanding. Is that like the top? Like when you say scholarly, I'm like, okay, so these guys or this woman, they really
it's very
know.
intense. If you really want to learn it,
Yeah.
You're not gonna say I grew up. I'm Yemeni American. I was born and raised in America, but through the Yemeni culture, I was, born through it. I know Arabic, but I know my dialectic Arabic, Yemeni dialect Arabic.
Okay.
If you want to understand Islam, you got to understand classical Arabic. There's a lot of closeness to it, but there's words that can have 3 or 4 different meanings because in those days, a word didn't have a specific meaning. They go through root words.
Okay.
Semitic languages will have like a 3-letter root word, and then you derive meaning through that. So I'll give you an example. Jim, and Nun. So J and N almost.
Mm-hmm.
You get the word jinn, which is like kind of like demons.
Yeah.
And then you have insanity, junun. And then you have Jannah, heaven or paradise. Why? Because those 2 letters indicate something you can't see but exists.
Oh,
You see what I'm
okay.
saying?
Yeah. Okay.
So a jinn, you can't see it but it exists.
Right.
Insanity exists but you don't see the insanity.
Right. Okay.
Paradise, same way.
Gotcha.
So that's how it works. So when you read or try to understand Arabic, you got to understand if somebody says, for instance, they're in their thobe, right? Somebody wakes them up. They said, "Why are you waking me up? I'm under my thobe." The word thobe can be a man's loose garment, a woman's loose garment, a blanket, a tablecloth, because the word just means like a loose fitting cloth. So depending on the context, you got to understand what it means.
Right.
So you got to understand that. You have to understand Quranic studies, how they derive their understandings of the Quran.
So pretty intense
Oh
on
my
that.
God.
So what was the other ones that were there with the
You got Shia Islam.
Shiite? You said
Shia Islam,
Shiite.
yeah.
Okay.
So they're very similar. There's differences in how they interpret the Quran. They're more esoteric. So you have a verse of the Quran. We take it more literally.
Okay.
So in Sunni Islam, we say you take the verses literally until there's a reason to take them metaphorically. But for the most part, you just take them literally.
Okay.
Shiites will read something and then be like, oh, well, this really means this, or this really means that. So they won't take, not all the time, but a lot of the times they'll say, oh, this means, Imam Ali, the cousin of Prophet Muhammad, who is the central figure after Prophet Muhammad in Shia Islam. They'll say, oh, this was like actually meaning him. It's kind of like coded to them.
Okay.
Where they derive the literal and then also metaphorical from the literal.
Okay. Gotcha. So there was 2. Was there 4 different ones?
There's a bunch.
Oh, really? So,
Oh, man.
But is it like top 3 or top? Another 2 you gave
There's
me.
Sunni, Shiite, and then there's Ibadi or Ibadi. They're from Oman. They're only really in Oman. They're kind of like a sect of a philosophical school of Islam called Mu'taziliya. They were a group that used Greek philosophy to derive their religious philosophies.
Okay.
And they're really only in Oman. How they believe is that in Sunni Islam, it's all the companions of Prophet Muhammad are good, pious men. Some could have been bad or done bad stuff. We see them generally as good folk. Shiites will say, depending on the branch, that all of the companions of Prophet Muhammad apostated after his death, kind of took power, and then there's only maybe 5 or 12, depending on the sect, that were true companions of him and really pushed his beliefs.
Really?
Ahl al-Bayt, the family of the Prophet, so Ali, his sons, I believe it's Salman al-Farisi and a couple of others. The Ibadiyya, they believe that most of the companions were good, but we call them like the top 4. Abu Bakr, Omar, Uthman, Ali. These were the like, they say the Mount Rushmore?
Yeah.
They're like the Mount Rushmore of companions in Islam. The Shiites believe Abu Bakr, Omar, and Uthman weren't good guys, and they don't believe in them. And they reject their authority when they were caliphs.
Okay.
The Ibadis say, no, Abu Bakr and Umar were good, but Uthman and Ali were bad.
Okay.
And it comes from the political strains that came to Oman and the people who came and brought that Islam to them. So there's Sunni, Shiite, Ibadi. I mean, then you have Ahmadi or Ahmadi. They're very recent. They're about 150, 200 years ago.
So there's just as many different branches as there is with Catholic and Christianity.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Gotcha. So I guess, okay, so you're growing up in Yemen. You're being taught that. You're learning the different branches of Islamic faith. At what point, now, what was the decision to move from Yemen to United States?
Well, my parents moved to Yemen. I was born here.
Oh, okay.
No. But like how I was raised was as if I was born in Yemen. I was
Really?
born in a Yemeni community.
Oh.
Yeah, like.
Gotcha.
Even this accent that I have, I was born in America, but because I was around so many people and I spoke Arabic at such a young age, I have this accent. I was born in America.
You guys are very tight knit, right?
Yeah.
So I noticed, for all those who don't know, we live in Buffalo, New York, right? So I noticed that you guys are predominantly in where the African Americans live.
Yep.
But it's still like subculture, like still like very close.
Yeah.
Do you find that isolation prevents a more stronger relationship with the African American culture around you guys, if that's making sense?
I get what you're saying. You're saying more like because we're so close knit, maybe we're stuck in our own ways and we're not willing to branch out and really understand African Americans.
Yeah, and at the same time, and since we're talking about religion, we're talking about, you go through African American neighborhoods, you see these things. You see tons of liquor stores.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Tons of bad, like, corner stores, right? Whatever, selling crap food.
Yep.
And there's tons of churches.
Yep.
Christian churches.
Yep.
And for me, as I drive through and I'm like, okay, Christianity's everywhere here, but where's kind of like the open doors for African Americans? Do you think African Americans feel the mosque is open doors for them? Or do they feel like, have they take on the American ideation of that's their stuff?
No, I would say that the reason why it's like that is a lot of the people who open up corner stores are either first or second generation Yemenis. So they're so like the people you find in the corner stores.
No.
The owner probably came 20 years ago, opened up the corner store, and his workers are his family. So it's just in that bubble. So I mean, and then why they do that? And I've told them a long time ago. Stop with the Dutchies. Stop with the blunt wrap. Stop with the alcohol. Alcohol is haram. It's forbidden. You can't even sell it.
Right.
Even pork, you can't sell it. You either do it or the hair is forbidden. You can't sell hair and eyelashes.
Really?
No, you can't.
Wow.
And I used to work at a hair store.
Right.
So
then isn't that kind of like
it's just money. It's capitalism.
yeah? So then we're gonna talk about how can you practice the Islamic faith? Like if you're one of these business owners, corner store owners, and you're doing everything wrong that what you're studying and what you're supposed to be following. How does that like work? Like as a Islamic faith person, like how do you do that and be conscious and be okay with that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
As people, they could just divide like, oh, there's Islam at home or at the mosque, and I know what I'm supposed to do. But if I'm gonna make money, then the door's open. It's haram. You're not supposed to do that. And some people are just like, hey, if we just go by what's halal or what's, we're going to be out of business. So we have to delve with that. And also, the non-Muslim likes alcohol. They like these stuff. So what are we going to tell them? We're going to put ourselves at a disadvantage and not sell these things that are popular? Or do we just know that it's wrong and maybe get to a place where we could be stable without them and then go on? But I agree. I've worked in a lot of these stores. My father worked in a lot of these stores. We've told them, get the alcohol out, get this out, get that out. Don't, and some of the people, not all, they might not be the most, let's say, proper Muslim. They come to America and they're like, the doors are open.
Gotcha.
I do what I want. I remember there's a guy I went to school with. Same thing. He was acting wild. And we're like, bro, you just came from Yemen. What are you doing? He's like, this is America. I can do whatever I want.
Wow.
10, 20 years down the road, when I last time I heard about him, his life got all messed up. His family disowned him. His wife cheated on him and left him. It's like, because how we see it, and you'll hear this a lot from the Muslims. They'll say, your religion is based on the people you keep around. So if you keep around good people, then they're going to promote good things. If you keep around people sketchy, you're going to see that within you. Your mentality is going to change. So when they come to a different nation, and this comes to your question, that's why you might see people change up and really not try to follow the principles, because new place, new me. Yeah, I should do it, but how close to the faith are they after they leave the country?
Right. Gotcha. Okay. So here's a question. Now, is the God of the Abrahamic religions truly the same deity? Or have Judaism, Christianity, and Islam created fundamentally different conceptions of God?
I wouldn't say fundamentally different. I would say that their influences were different. So they come to different conclusions about what they say is the same God, if that makes sense. So the Israelites were heavily influenced by Canaanite mythology.
Okay.
So if you see, for instance, if you read a lot of the academia, they'll tell you that the first God of the Israelites wasn't Yahweh. Yahweh was actually a Midianite god. He was from the Transjordan. He was actually an Arab god.
Really?
Yeah, and then El was the first god. That's why you see so many Michael, Gabriel, Israel. Yeah, that epithet is that's the earliest god in archaeologically. There's pantheons with El as like the largest statue, and then Baal and Yahweh as his sons. People don't understand this, that a lot of what we believe was reformulated, all the religions over time, and then we get to this rigid, this is how it was. When you go back, it's a lot more different. So the Israelites, their beliefs stem from Canaanite beliefs, Canaanite customs and rituals. Christianity started like that, but then when it branched out into Philippi, where Paul wrote the Colossians, and Thessalonica, all these Greek areas and all these Hellenized areas, right? Especially if you look at early Christianity, the epicenters are really Alexandria, Egypt, Rome, and the Greek islands. Alexandria, Egypt was kind of like the Mecca of Greek philosophy in those days. People from all over would go to learn Greek philosophy in Alexandria.
Yeah, but this is after he destroyed all the library. Right? Then
there's a little bit after.
A little after? Okay.
And the library, there's a little bit of a misnomer on that. People think that it was destroyed. It was destroyed in stages. Like Nero destroyed a portion of it at a time, and then there was a fire that caught in, I believe, in the 4th or 5th century, and then it stated that when the Muslims conquered in the 7th century, they basically did away with the rest. So it wasn't destroyed all at once, and even then, they said that everything that was worth copying was copied, and all the rest of the stuff that they saw wasn't worth anything. They didn't really copy. So most of the knowledge in the Library of Alexandria that we don't have wasn't really anything to keep. People will tell you the Library of Alexandria because it's so big in our our society.
Gotcha. Next question then.
Yeah.
Why did God reveal himself in different ways across the different religions, like through the Torah, through Christ, and then in Quran? If he's one unchanging God, does that sow division? Why is it he shows himself in different ways in different religions?
Yeah. So the God of the Israelites, like how I said, they're influenced by their culture, right? Same thing with Christianity and Islam. I would say that he showed them in different ways that was understandable to them.
Gotcha.
So the Hebrews, they understood all of these gods and these myths and these beliefs. So he's going to come to them and speak to them in what they know. If he starts saying, hey, I'm this, and just straight to the point, they're not going to really, really connect with it because it's foreign to them.
Okay.
That's why we say that God brought a prophet. He never brought prophets from other people. He always brought a prophet from amongst their people. So they know him, they know the family, they know they could, they connect with that person. He's a part of us. He's part and parcel of the community.
Right.
He knows our beliefs. He knows our understandings. We could trust him. If it's somebody, say if Jesus was from Persia, nobody's gonna accept him in Canaan or in Israel or Judea, whatever they called it.
Right.
There.
Right.
So who the hell is this guy gonna tell us about our God?
Right.
So, I believe that it's less that he was dividing or sowing division, but rather coming to the people and what they know. So Arabic, you'll see a lot of understandings that the Arabs understood. But why that? Because if you're talking to the Arabs, you're going to speak in their language and their understanding and their metaphors and how they speak to get to the point. And I believe all three religions came to basically have the same point. I think the only sticking point is with the Trinity in Christianity.
Okay.
And I think the reason why is because of Greek philosophy, Middle Platonism specifically. And if you read through the early church fathers, Justin Martyr and the rest of them, they were committed Platonists.
Okay.
And how did that influence what they believed? So, say, I'll take the concept of literal pre-existence, right? Something literally existed before time.
Got you.
The Jews only believed God existed, and if he spoke about something as if it existed, he only meant like in his mind, or he was going to bring it into existence when he wanted to.
Okay.
The Platonists, the Greek philosophers, and the early Jews were heavily influenced by them. They would say, no, he literally existed. That's why you hear the two powers in heaven and hear all of these things where there's somebody that's not God, but is eternal, and he's kind of like this force that God goes through and does stuff for God. That's Greek. That's not... So when Christianity came into the Greek Hellenized world, they started adopting the concepts but interpreting them in the more Greek understanding. So the Holy Spirit in the Jewish context was just a spirit, like an inspiration that God would send to somebody.
Okay.
The Greeks, they had I think it's called the theory of forms or something, where it's like God is this perfect God, and I don't know how to explain it. Basically, they believed that, how do I say this? So, for instance, the Word, right? The Word. That's word used for Jesus, right? In the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with God. John 1:1. When the Jews said the Word, they didn't believe a God, a part of a Trinity that was co-equal, co-independent. They believed that the Word was more like the representative of God.
Okay.
You know? So what I'm trying to say is that the concepts were taken out of a Jewish concept and put into a Hellenistic concept, and then you get a formulation of getting a Trinity, getting what do they call it? A preemination of God. That came from the Gnostics. And the Gnostics, what they call the proto-Orthodox, rejected them. Because they believe, some believe that Jesus really existed, some believe didn't. Some believe that he's kind of like a hologram. Some people, you know,
really,
yeah, they were all over the place.
So let's jump on the Jesus aspect.
Yeah.
Question is, do you think was Jesus a failed Jewish Messiah, a divine Son of God, or a prophet of Islam, or is he a figure distorted amongst all three of them?
I think if we go through Second Temple Judaism, where Jesus was from, so that's about the 3rd or 4th century BC to about the 3rd century CE. We see that when people spoke about somebody in a divine way, they didn't literally mean they were divine. I could give you, for instance, literature such as the Tragedy of Moses, or it's called the Exodus, the Exegog of Moses. It's from about the mid-2nd century BC. And it talks about Moses having a vision, and he's quoting, I believe, Exodus 6, where he sees God at the mountaintop. And it's basically, there's a guy sitting on a throne with a crown and a scepter in his hand, and he's calling Moses with his hand, right? Moses goes up, the guy walks off the throne, Moses sits on the throne, wears his crown, holds his scepter. The stars all form a row, like a squadron in front of Moses. He counts all of them, which in those days they believed the understanding of how many stars were in the world was only something God knew. He had knowledge of the past, present, future, and was given the authority to judge. He's basically God.
Right.
But in that understanding, they were so comfortable with their monotheism that they understood he wasn't God, but they would give people who are godly or people who are high within the religious ranks those attributes, even though they know he didn't have them. They called it the law of agency.
Okay.
That you could attribute something to somebody representing God, of God, but not him being God. Same thing they did with angels. They gave angels God's name, for instance, Yahoel. There's another literature where there's an angel that God said, I'll give you my name. You go down to Abraham, you speak to him. And that, so they're very, very, very loose with speaking to people. So when I see people say, before Abraham was I am, or all these verses, or the Father and I are one, first I read the context and I see that I wouldn't really derive that he's God from those concepts, but I would say that, how do I say this? Where was that going? How do I say this? So, when they take these things, damn, I forgot where I was going with this.
That's all right. We can just keep it rolling. We can come back right to it.
Yeah,
As soon as it kicked back, you just rock and roll.
Right.
We'll come back into it. But I noticed when you said El was like the real God, or like the original God, you say?
God, yeah.
Okay, so then it just dawned on me. Do you think they play that in Hollywood with the Superman? His real name is Kal-El?
Maybe.
Because when you put that suffix on it, I'm like,
Kal-El, yeah.
I'm thinking, and he's like God-like, right?
Yeah.
Super strong, can do anything he wants.
Yep.
I'm almost like, wow, I wonder if that's where they got that from, or is that the way they named him? They probably derived from.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. They do stuff like that all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
So let me ask you this:
Yeah.
what do you say to people now? Because this is, don't let me speak for you. You are a full-blown Muslim.
I'm a Muslim. I believe in it. There's things that I agree and disagree with. I might have more nuanced stance. I'm not the type of guy to be like, this is how it is, this is what it says, because I know it's way more nuanced and there's a lot of influence of why people came to those decisions. So I'm a Muslim and I understand things.
So with that being said, I'm going to ask you, what do you say to people who believe religion is outdated or incompatible is a good word with modern values like gender equality or the LGBTQ rights?
I mean, they're right. I mean, it depends on what's your rock for your morality. Is it God? Is it secular humanism? I mean, what do you believe is the foundation of what you believe? If you're gonna say there's whatever, as many genders as you want, homosexuality is fine, transgenderism is fine, women are equal to men in every way, shape, and form, there's not one of those books that's gonna agree with you on that,
right?
Because that's what the time they came from. They didn't come in these very soft times where we have money and everybody's eating for the most part, and it's more business based where people are competing, so it'd be wrong to really push women out. Those days, the men went out and worked. They went out and fought. The women took care of the kids. It was functional. Now we don't need to be as functional because we're developed.
Gotcha.
So so that's why you see they'll say underdeveloped countries, Africa, Middle East, other parts. They'll say, oh, they're very not backwards. Oh, they will say backwards, but they'll say that they don't have gender equality. What the hell? How can you expect that out of people? You got to meet people where they're at and understand why they do things rather than say, oh, they're bad because they don't follow our morals. That's nice. You want to invest in those nations and help them get to where you are? If not, shut up.
Right.
Leave them alone.
Exactly.
So, yeah, they do disagree. I don't think to the extent. I think people really try to turn the screws on the religions. It makes them seem like, oh, they're just horrible. I think they can fit. Maybe if you loosen up here or there, yeah, you could live with these religious beliefs and still be somewhat compatible, but I don't think being compatible to modern day values is objective, because 100 years from now they're going to be different.
Is it safe for a person to be gay and a Muslim?
Depending on where they are. If they're in America, yeah. If they're in the Middle East and they're like, oh, I'm a homosexual, I'm this, that, I want to say no. They're very, God's against this, we don't accept that at all. And also there's another layer to that. When people see that kind of stuff, they don't see that person, oh, he's a homosexual. They see, oh, he's probably working for a Western nation, and one of these nations is trying to push their agendas on him. So it's not only, oh, he's gay, because if there's a guy who's a little zesty, as they say, leave him alone, okay? If he's not bothering anybody, if he's not doing stuff out in public, if he's not promoting it, let everybody alone. Everybody got their own problems and sins. Because in Islam, and I believe in Judaism, maybe Christianity, I don't know too much, that like sexual urges are not the sin. The sin is the actual act.
Ah,
So if you say I'm a homosexual, okay, you're a homosexual, but that wouldn't get you in trouble. What would get you in trouble if they found out you had penetrative sex between two men?
gotcha.
That's the problem. So, I mean, for the most part in the Middle East, they'd probably see that you're weird. And they'd probably be like, oh, and this is Muslim, Christian, Jew. Nobody accepts that. The Middle East is, their conservatism is, American conservatism looks like a far left.
Really?
So, oh, yeah. American conservatism, it's very political. It's very identitarian. It's very economics based.
Yeah.
So in those days, no, it's because God said so. Therefore, it is. You either accept or you don't. But going back to your question, would they be safe? I mean, they wouldn't get killed for the most part. They probably get ridiculed and stuff like that. And again, if you're in Saudi Arabia or a developed nation, it might be a little bit easier. If you're in a more underdeveloped, poorer nation, it's far more religious and sticks to the morals and codes, then you might have some problems.
Gotcha. So let's dabble a little bit into more of a political stance. How should religions, and that's all. I mean, if you just want to speak on basically on Islam point of view, but how should religious people today think about things like nationalism, Zionism, or the Israel-Palestine conflict?
Yeah.
How should religious people think? And is there a side to be picked? Is there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially in Gaza, like let's just personalize it about you. What's your position on the Israel-Palestine conflict?
That the state of Israel is an apartheid state. It's a genocidal state, and the same thing should be done to it as what happened to South Africa.
Yeah,
should be done away with. Doesn't mean you gotta wipe out. God forbid. The Jewish people, they're part of that area. Their ancestors are. They can live with us. It's just that Zionism, which came around 150, 200 years ago, started infecting this Jewish nationalism, which most people really can't explain. What do you mean Jewish? Do you mean by blood? Because then many of the Jews are
different colors too.
Yeah.
Are we just talking about the European Jews?
Yeah.
Because I don't understand people's concepts. Like there's black Jews,
there's Ethiopian
Jews.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like who's right to be there now?
Yeah.
If my understanding, Israel didn't become a state until what, 46, 48? Where were you beforehand? And this was Palestinian land, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's not like this happened 400 years ago. This is not too long ago.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like, what's your position? Is there like a good guy, bad guy in this situation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's that?
This is how I see it. Post Second World War, Jews started coming to Israel under the British protectorate of Palestine. That's what they called it. Jews lived with Arabs perfectly. We sold them land. They lived with us. We called them our cousins. We had no problems. There's also probably, of course, there's gonna be some clashes here or there. There's gonna be anytime that happens,
right?
Whether it's America with South Americans,
right?
And you're always gonna have some problems. But for the most part, you're the sons of Isaac. We're the sons of Ishmael. We're family. We're good. And then this ideology came, and it just said, this is our land. Everybody else is fake. You get out, and we can do whatever we want to get you out. And that's what we see right now. No nation on earth would be given such leeway to do whatever they've been doing as Israel. Not even the U.S.
Why do you think that, though? Why do you think they get so much leniency? Do they really? I mean, you got the conspiracy theorists. Their money tied up into everything, and I don't know. There's this evil thing. What do you think?
Well, the Middle East is a very, very important area when it comes to oil and economics. And oil, although some parts are starting to lean away from it, it's still what's the foundation for the petrodollar, for the dollar. It's really what really holds the value of the dollar. So you want to keep that place down and packed. Israel, I see, is a colonial state. It's used by other Western nations to really influence their governance, politics, overthrowing nations to bring in new nations that are basically puppets for Western nation. That's how I see it.
Gotcha.
So that's why they're so important. They're allowing them to do it because Israel can do whatever they want. There's sexual espionage, and they're the biggest. The NSA, the attorney of or the head of the NSA said that Israel's our biggest threat when it comes to security. They spy on us like no other.
Really?
Absolutely. They've stolen secrets from us. They've attacked American naval vessels. They've done whatever they wanted, and they're very, very connected with the CIA. I remember there's a woman named Whitney Webb. She's a journalist, and she goes through Epstein and all the connections. And basically, Bill Barr, who was the attorney general for Trump, his father gave Epstein his first job as a school teacher, as a math teacher, and then he got into the Mossad, the Israeli intelligence. This is all well known. You know, we're never told this, so that's the side of espionage and Epstein and all that. I think they do the dirty work. The Israeli government does the dirty work of our country, of our government. So that's why they're given so much leeway. Do I believe that Jewish people are bad? No. They're people. They're like me or you. Yeah. Am I bad because there's Al-Qaeda or ISIS? No. Are you bad because there might be some bad people who look like you? No. But at the same time, that government, it's inexcusable. Right. I just read a New York Times article today saying that the government of Israel straight up came out and said, no, Hamas isn't using stealing aid for themselves. So the excuse they used to cut off the aid was that they're stealing it. Now they're saying, no, they weren't. So you were just deliberately starving these people. Right. And gunning them down when they're going to get food for themselves and their family. While it's a barbarism that you would never think that was still today. Maybe Second World War, maybe... But today, no, and it's inexcusable. Right. Inexcusable.
I agree with you on that. So I don't know if you noticed, but I've noticed a lot. I mean, I surf a lot on the net. Yeah. I read a lot of news. Yeah. I see this increase of, let's just say spiritual awakening.
Yeah. Less religious and more spiritual.
Yes. Yeah. So, and religion seems to be on a decline. Yeah. Do you think that's good or that's bad in the pursuit of finding or creating a relationship with the Almighty? Yeah. Is it good that we're having more of a spiritual or in leaving religion alone?
What's your conceptualization of your conceptualization of the Almighty? Is it nature? Is it this more deistic being that doesn't really tell you what to do, but he just set everything up for you and you do the rest of the work? Is it this Abrahamic God that came down and gave revelation you follow to the end of time? What is it? So I couldn't say is it good or bad. I'm a Muslim, right? But I can understand why people don't believe it. I can understand, for instance, secular critiques of Islam or the religions. I can understand it. You can't get mad at somebody's understanding if they don't follow your understanding. Maybe they might have different epistemologies. Maybe they might say, hey, I don't believe in the supernatural. I don't believe that your history is the way it is. Maybe you guys messed with it. That's what I hear about Islam. They'll be like, oh well, a lot of your primary sources come from the 8th and 9th century, so a century or two later. Can we say that that's what happened in the 7th century? Maybe not. Who's to tell? At that time there's kingdoms and caliphates, and they want you to push their narrative. That's the Catholic Church. That's any religious group, So, I mean, when I see people who are more in tune with nature, I don't get mad. I'm not like, oh, you gotta worship my God. I worship my God, and like what I said, I have my beliefs. But also, if you want, what do we have other than this earth? If you feel a deep connection to it and you want to care for it and advocate for it and do for it, and you have a deep sense of feeling and belonging with it, why not? We should all have that. If you're a religious person, you should believe that God created this earth for you and that you're the steward for this earth. So why be against it? So I'm not really against it. I think we need to really start understanding each other. Because to be honest, I'm sick of arguing with people.
Yeah. I find that, I don't subscribe to any religion, right? But, and I don't want to use the word I'm very spiritual, because that's kind of like, no duh.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, like you're going to be, if you're studying religious book, you're going to be spiritual, right? Because that's the whole premise of it. But I like to think that I'm a active student of God. Yeah. And so then when I get into these conversations with people like you, people of Christian different religious background, I tend to get snarked at or kind of judged in a way because of the questions I'm asking may impede or they may take it as disrespect.
Why you asking this question?
Right. Yeah. So it's like, how do I find I could read this book all day, like all these different books, and I'll have my perception.
Right.
But that's not always the right perception or the right meaning of things. So having these conversations, I feel like, is necessary for everybody, no matter what religion you're in. Yeah. What would you say to people like me, because there's a lot of us out there, who believe in God, right? There's no question about God, because we're literally living on a floating rock.
Yeah. Its trajectory, everything is precisely calculated.
Everything is, you know what I mean? Like, there's an architect somewhere.
Yeah.
What you call them is different.
Right.
So, what would you say to a person like me who is a active student of God? What would you say to somebody like me when dealing with people that are very judgmental in our process of trying to learn about God? Like, because I know a lot of times I'm very hard-headed, so I'm gonna keep going. But a lot of people get turned away and just say, "I don't want to do this shit." And I'm not gonna, they get deterred, and then what would you say to people like that? Keep going. Find
better people. Yeah. Because people, they change over time. When I was younger, super religious, super like this, this is how you're supposed to do it, right? Mm-hmm. But then when I grew up, I understand there's a lot more nuance. There's a lot more differences. There's a lot more of, I can understand why somebody believes this, There are people who will not believe that.
Right.
It's the Bible says, the Quran says, that's what I believe. You're not going to get me off of it. And they're going to feel like you have a motivation to try to throw them off, or like you're kind of like a devil in disguise and you're trying to. There's people like that. I mean, I've tried to speak to people like that. I just spoke to a guy at work yesterday. Mm-hmm. And we were talking. He was like, "Oh, Jesus, God, devout Catholic." And then we started talking. He's like, "I don't believe none of that." He goes, "I say it because societally, if I don't, it'll put me in some shit." But he's like, and I want to feel and have a connection. But he's like, "I don't believe it." He's like, "I believe it's." There's a lot of people like that.
Really?
There's a lot of people that I can say that will, for societal reasons, for what's called societal capital.
Okay.
That gives you a good standing in your society, and it can open up doors for you if you're this or that, But he's like, yeah, I mean, it gives me family structure, it gives me this and that, but I don't believe the theology. I don't believe this. I believe it's about power. I believe people have used it to force it. I believe it's been changed. This, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. I was like, damn.
Wow.
You're always talking about, but there's a lot of people like that.
Really?
I remember I said I became an agnostic. You don't just leave and then come back. It's a process of kind of like deconstructing and then kind of constructing. I can't say I'm as religious or devout as I was then, because I know a lot more, and I can't validate or can't justify those rigid stances. You know what I'm saying?
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, if you leave a religion and you study and you come back, you can't have the same perception, because the more knowledge you have. So do you feel like the fact that you left and came back made you a stronger believer, or more of a humble believer?
Respect your intellect, respect the intellect of others. Just because somebody doesn't believe what you believe doesn't mean they're stupid or they're beneath you. They might know or might have experienced something you never did. And they process it a certain way. Mm-hmm. A lot of people who are very judgmental lived very good lives. Mm-hmm. Lived very, by the book. They had good upbringing. They had a lot of the people who are the free thinkers in the world had a messed up life in the beginning. Mm-hmm. They saw the world for what it is. They saw people use religion or economics or politics. That politician who was from Harvard speaking with a certain twang and quoting scripture to get those people. You know what I'm saying? And they might come. You can't criticize them. They saw something that might have turned you the same way. Mm-hmm. So no. You can't come out the same. And then again, you can't. When you're like that, like when I was in that period, I was reading everything. I have a Kindle of hundreds of books like this, and that's Islamic history, evolution, science, how people misuse everything, right? When you start learning, you just start understanding that humanity has its biases, and it'll always push its biases either in a explicit or implicit way.
Gotcha.
So it's like, yeah, I believe in Western civilization, and then they start saying, oh, well, you have to be European and you have to be Christian, and you say, oh, okay, you have to be white, you have to, you got to follow these. They're never gonna say it outright because it looks bad.
Gotcha.
There's always people like that, and that's how humanity is, whether religion or anything.
So you brought these books to me today.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna read each one, and then I'm gonna ask a couple questions on it.
Absolutely.
And we'll take it from there. For all the listeners who's not seeing this on the channel, just tuning in. So you brought one book here. It is by Fred McGraw Donner, The Early Islamic Conquests.
Yeah.
Briefly, what's that about?
This book in Frederick Donner is one of the best Western scholars of Islamic studies.
Okay.
That's why I go to him and Hugh Kennedy for the most part.
Okay.
He's just talking about, he's setting up the back row, like the backdrop of how Arabia looked in those days. What areas were doing this or that. Where are the sects? What were the major tribes? And then he gives you the answer of how Islam started and how it spread. And you get not a religious, more of an anthropological and sociological understanding of how it took root, how it spread, how people adopted it, if it was forced or not forced on it. I love that book.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. So this next one here, it has a picture. Now this is, tell me if I'm wrong. This is a picture of, this is in Ethiopia,
I
right?
believe that's in Mali.
Mali?
Mali,
This
yeah.
is like a college. What was it, like a school or something?
I think that was a mosque.
A mosque?
Yeah.
And the book is called The History of Islam in Africa.
So that book's about how Islam spread through North Africa, the Bantu coast, all there, and it gives you an understanding because people just think the Muslims just ran through North Africa, just conquered and colonized. No, the eastern coast, people from Yemen, where my family's from, and Oman, they spread through trading, and Islam through trading, and people influenced. That's why you got the Swahili people. They speak their native languages, and they mix with Arabic. Mozambique, the name
Mozambique, yeah, I heard
comes
that.
from a man named Musa bin Biq. He was from Oman.
Really?
Yeah, he's a very well-known trader, and they loved him because of what he's doing, how he treated them. They named the area Mozambique. It shows you the complexity of how Islam spread.
Gotcha.
Yes, North Africa, Egypt, they did conquer, but did they conquer and force? No.
Gotcha.
And it'll give you a realistic view of how Africans interacted with Islam.
Gotcha. Next one is the HarperCollins Study Bible. Now, this is just a regular Christian Bible, right? And what makes it like a study Bible? Like, what is it? Does it like give me footnotes?
It gives you commentaries on like certain verses or certain understanding. And it'll explain to you, oh, this came from this Semitic understanding, or this came from this origin, that origin. It gives context, a historical or socio-historical context of the verses you're reading, where they come from, and how to really understand them.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And next one is the Scepter and the Star.
Yeah.
Now, this has a very interesting cover. For those who can see that. What's this about here?
That book, John J. Collins, is a giant in Old Testament studies. That book's about how the Dead Sea Scrolls, because there's a lot of them, how to understand them in their context and how they influenced Judaism of that time and Christianity of that time. Very, very, very interesting. I love that book.
All right. The Written Gospel. Now, this is from Cambridge.
Yeah.
You touched this?
Oh, yeah.
You read it? And what is it about?
This book, it's basically a bunch of essays about how the Gospels formed.
Who wrote these essays? Is it like various prophets?
No. It's academics going through.
Oh, okay.
Because there's different understandings. Some people say they were transmitted via oral tradition. Some people say it's different. Some people say they have Hellenistic influence. Some people say they don't. And it's basically scholars going through and giving their understandings as to why they believe certain understandings of how the Gospels were formed.
Gotcha. Now, this one here, I'm very interested in. Church History, Volume 1, From Christ to the Pre-Reformation.
Yeah.
Please.
So this will tell you how Christianity developed from small churches in the Greek islands and in the Mediterranean to how the church really set up the institution and what were the influences of the church and who influenced the church. It's very, very interesting.
Good. Next one is books and readers in the early church. A history of early Christian texts. Harry Gamble.
This one gives you a lot of what were the because we know Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the Gospels, the letters of Paul. This will give you other literature that was famous around that time, and it'll tell you about literacy, how prominent it was amongst what people was literacy prominent, and it gives you a good understanding of what like now we have the Bible, the Quran, but we have other literature that influenced our society.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And last one, but not least, you have Enoch and the Messiah, Son of Man.
Yeah.
Now, tell me about this one. Because I've been hearing a lot about... For those who are on social media, you hear a lot about the book of Enoch all of a sudden. It's like this social media crave going on. Tell me a little bit about this book here.
So this book goes by... it's edited by Boccacelli, I believe. Boccaccini. It basically goes through, again, it's a series of essays of scholars going through the dating of it. When was it dated? What is what does it mean? What did they apply to? Some scholars will say the Son of Man was actually Gabriel, Michael the angel. Some will say it was Enoch. Some say it was Melchizedek. And it goes through their understandings and why they believe it.
Really?
It's really, really good. Son of Man studies, I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
I'm going to touch it. So, I mean, are you versed with the Enoch? Like, where is Enoch coming from? Like, what, Old Testament, New Testament, lost book?
Old Testament.
Old Testament?
It's seen as a lost book because the theology didn't fit the theology of the Old Testament. So they call it deuterocanonical, where you could derive understanding and like value from it, but it's not scripture.
Right.
So you see the Catholics have it, the Orthodox have it, and they have more. They have the book of Jesus what was it? Jesus ben Sirach and other books. Really? You said about
Enoch, like where it come from, like
Enoch
why?
Is actually based off of a Canaanite god, another Canaanite god that the Israelites attributed and gave this man Enoch.
Really?
There's a lot of that going on. Okay. And I mean, people think, you're saying they're plagiarized. In those days, there's no such thing as plagiarization. There's motifs and myths and understandings, and everybody appropriated from those greater beliefs or customs and rituals and beliefs of the area, and they made it their own.
Right.
Like people think, that's no. This whole it's mine or you took from me. They didn't have that in those days.
Right.
No such thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like one of the things I heard, like the book of Enoch shares or describes what angels actually look like or something like that. Is that true?
Yeah.
Really?
The book, and
it's scary. Like there's not the pretty looking
they're
angels.
Ugly as hell. They're nightmare fuel.
So it's like
it's like an acid trip, a Semitic acid trip, to be honest.
Really?
He's going in all these rooms and chambers and seeing all these crazy things, and he's been elevated to this and that, and he's seeing all these crazy. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
So the Book of Watchers, and then I think it's 3 books.
Okay.
And I think it was the Book of Watchers that they say, and certain parts of it influenced the New Testament understanding of the Son of Man as well. So it's very interesting.
Well, I am so appreciative because you have given me a lot to deal with my insomnia. When I have my insomnia, I'm gonna be diving in all that. And like you, I'm not gonna read the whole book. I'll probably jump in and out of everyone because I'm very like anxious to touch them and see what's going on in there. So we're coming to a close on our interview. But I do have a couple more little quick questions.
Absolutely.
I noticed during the interview when you spoke of what we call heaven, you say paradise. Why is that? Why is that such a different?
Muslims, we don't say heaven because that conceptualization of what we call paradise isn't like when Christians think of, they think heaven. We say paradise. It's very different from the understanding that the Christian have of their heaven. So, and then it's also just a wording. Like we just say paradise. So it's more Islamic.
Okay.
To say paradise than heaven. It's more of a Christian thing to say heaven. It's like that.
So another thing that I may have misunderstood or not is the belief in the Islamic faith where that when you die and go to paradise, you get 7 virgins. Why is that such a thing to desire in heaven? 7 virgins.
I don't know how reliable that is because you will hear a lot of people say, "Oh, 72 virgins."
Yeah.
See, in the Middle East, when somebody gives you a number, it could be the real number or it could be a meaningful number. So like 70 in our understanding didn't mean literally 70. It meant, because 7 is a sacred number, 70 meant a lot, and then 72 meant and then some. So when it's saying you're going to have so-and-so virgins, saying you're going to have a lot of virgins.
But
So
why virgins? Like, what does, because when I hear virgin, I'm thinking, oh, wow, sexual ideation come in my head. I'm like, I got 7 virgins. What you going to do with a virgin? Like, why is that such a goal or a prize? You know what I mean?
Islam prioritizes a lot of discipline in everything. Whether it's the food you eat, your sexual activity, everything. So, for instance, when like having sex out of wedlock is a big no-no. It says, for instance, if you can't get married and you have urges to fast, like to that extent.
Really?
So when it tells you you're gonna have these virgins, it's gonna say you hold off now. You discipline yourself now. Then when you die and there's no consequences to your actions because you're in heaven, you made it. You're gonna get these things. You know, you pass the test now. All the things you wanted to do then, you could have now.
Really?
And I understand where people come from that. They're like, why is it about virgins and this and that? They're like, why is it very sexualized? In those days, and I mean, let's be honest, these days too, you know, women are very prized,
right.
You know? And it's not only about sex. There's a bunch of other things that you'll be getting. But that is another thing. And some people will say, what about the women, right? Oh, you get all these women. What are you getting? What are they getting? A lot of the scholars would say they would get the same thing, but it's kind of like taboo or bad etiquette to say, oh, women want a bunch of men.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, I learned a lot today. I feel like we just only touched the tip of this iceberg.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm definitely would love to have you back on,
Yeah.
right? And we're talking about, I'm sure, other different topics. But today was really, really informative, and I appreciate you coming in and taking the time out your day. And I'm sure we're going to do this again. So thank you, Omar. And for those who are listening, thank you for tuning in to the Misunderstood Podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, do it all. Cut it up. Put it out there in the social media world. Do what you like. Just make sure that you give us props. All right. Peace, love, and happiness.